Would you like to learn how to make your own flavors of gum at home?
Well, today on WTF, we're going to show you how to use gum base to make your own custom bubble gum, fruit gum, and even a sugar-free chewing gum. Hello and welcome to WTF, where we transform food here in the Modernist Pantry Test Kitchen. I'm Chef Scott Guerin.
And I'm Janie Wang, one of the owners of Modernist Pantry. Here on WTF, every week we talk about unique ingredients and techniques and show you recipes that you can do in your own kitchen. So remember, subscribe, ring the bell, and you'll get notified of our episodes when they come out. This week, we are going to be showing you how to make gum in your own kitchen, which is super fun because it's kind of a mystery how that happens. So Scott's going to explain to you what ingredients go into making gum and what steps you're going to take, and we're going to walk you through the whole process on camera in a demo. So let's get started. All right, I think the first thing, and I've never wondered or looked into this, is what exactly is in a piece of chewing gum?
So I always wanted to make gum. I thought that it'd be easy to do in a kitchen, but it turns out like you need gum base. Gum base is what you need to make chewing gum or bubble gum, and gum base is basically just a natural rubber that you can take and you can flavor and you can shape into whatever shapes you want and just make your own chewing gum.
All right, so is it as easy just popping the gum base in and rolling it out?
It's really easy once you understand how.
Okay.
But there are a lot of tricks to it that I found out in learning how to make gum, because sometimes gum base can be really chewy and almost too hard, and it loses flavor rather quickly.
Right.
So there's a few things that we figured out that help make better gum altogether. So if we can kind of get into the demo, we can talk about it as we go because there's a lot of different things to touch on. So first off, you'll notice I have this in a plastic container, and this is a disposable container. If you have a piece of Tupperware that you want to use, you could reuse it, but just know that the gum base is extremely sticky, especially once it's mixed with glucose or liquid glucose. So just know that if you're trying to put it into a glass bowl or a stainless steel bowl or even a nonstick bowl, it is very difficult to get out. It will find a way to stick. And also whatever utensils you're using to stir it, it'll probably ruin that as well.
Okay.
So just make sure that if you have a container that you want to just use for gum, you can absolutely do that. Or if you have something that is disposable, whether it's a plastic cup that you buy at the store or whatnot, just make sure you're using that so you don't ruin all of your great bowls at home or in your kitchen. So the gum base I have here, you can make it as small as like 50-gram batches. And what you want to do is a 1-to-1 ratio of glucose syrup, which I basically just took our glucose DE42, and I made a glucose syrup. You can find all the ratios in the link in the description below on the recipe and on the episode for DE42 as well. So basically I have this, and I'm just going to pour it right into our gum base. Now sometimes there's recipes where you're putting this into a bowl and you're putting it over a double boiler, and then you let it sit over the double boiler, and then you have to mix it up. It's kind of a lot of work for making it. So I do it in here, and I'm just going to pop it in the microwave for like 30 to 50 seconds on high power. If you want to do it on low power and just gauge it, as long as it melts, it's totally fine.
Okay.
So the next thing I have is very important. This is vegetable oil, just a neutral flavored vegetable oil that I'm going to add directly into my gum base, and it's a very small amount. So for this amount that I have here, which is about 100 grams, I'm doing half a teaspoon of vegetable oil. Also, I'm using a oil-based flavoring, which is our flavor drops. Now, the oil will make it softer. And if you add too much oil, because sometimes you'll say, oh, I can add a little bit more oil and make it softer, it will actually make it dissipate completely as you're chewing it. It'll dissolve because it just has nothing to stick to. The oil completely takes away the chewiness of it. So if I'm going to use a full dram of this, I use about a half a teaspoon. If I'm using another flavor like our root beer flavor, which we made here, or our bubble gum, which are alcohol-based, if I add it to it, then it doesn't have that oil, so they will be very almost hard at the start and then very chewy. So you can up the amount of oil. Check out our recipes. You'll see exactly how much you need to make those perfect for your recipe. But we're just going to do an orange gum here. So I have some orange flavor, and we have a bunch of other gums there. And then color. You don't have to color this, but I like to color it so I remember what it is I'm making. So you can just use a store-bought color, food color. Might do a little bit more to make sure it's nice and yellow. All right, so I have this, and then what I'm going to do basically here is just pop it into the microwave, and it will come out, and then I'll be able to stir it up, and we can move on to the next steps, because it's very simple. You'll see the entire process here.
Okay, yeah, so quick question about the glucose syrup. So glucose syrup, people might have heard of it, it's just commonly referred to as corn syrup, which you can get, but you decide to use the D42.
Yep.
Which is more specialized, harder to get. Obviously, we carry it here in Modernist Pantry. But was there a reason why you decided to go that way?
So I tried this with regular glucose syrup. I tried this with sugar syrup. And then I tried this with DE42. And DE42 makes the softest initial chew on the gum. We can actually look at it here because I made the bubble gum here with a regular glucose syrup. And you can see it's very firm until you bite into it. But then if you pick up the which is obviously these are strips, but it's very pliable, very movable, very
it's more like your Wrigley's and your other chewing gum.
So if you wanted to have like a little bit firm, if you want to wrap it up into wrappers, but that sugar will eventually crystallize, and the DE42 really prevents itself from crystallizing. So that's why it's great for making a gum that you don't want to be like hard or crunchy or brittle.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me heat this up, and then we can come back and I'll show you the next steps.
Okay.
All right, so we have our gum base here. It's all heated up. It only took about 30 seconds to a minute. You want to make sure that all the little pellets kind of look like this soft goop that we have here. So I'm just going to stir this up, and you'll see it start to mix in with the flavor. It'll start to mix in with the glucose and then also the oil. It will look very thin because it is very hot. So this is exactly where we want to be. We want to mix this up until it starts to form like almost like a ball, and then we can scoop it into our powdered sugar. So as I do this.
Okay, you can definitely see that it's thickening up very, very quickly.
Yes.
Yeah, and so if you're not sure, if you're on the website, you're looking at our flavor drops, just read the ingredient list. We do have them up for each one, so that will tell you which ones are oil-based and which ones are alcohol-based.
Great. So we have this here. I'm going to let this sit for just a second because the next thing we have to do is we put it into about a cup and a half of powdered sugar, obviously depending on the recipe. But in that powdered sugar, I like to add some mix-ins. If I'm making a fruit-based flavor, I like to add fructose, so like a natural fruit sugar, and then I like to add citric acid. This is going to be an orange-flavored gum, so why not have that kind of pop of acid and also the sweet fructose, because the powdered sugar does a good job of sweetening it, but you want it to taste like fruity, right? And that acid will also help. If you're making something like a bubble gum, just powdered sugar works. If you're making a sugar-free or mint gum, sugar-free sugar substitutes like sorbitol work great. So it really depends on what you're trying to make. But check out our recipes and you'll see a bunch of different ways to make it. So I'm going to mix this up, and then I'm going to start to fold this in here. So just mix those in nicely so you don't have like a big pocket of citric acid. So remember, use your disposable utensils.
Don't use your fingers.
Not at this point because it is pretty warm.
Okay.
But once you fold it a few times, it'll be cool enough to work with.
I see what you mean by it's never going to get completely clean, so.
Yeah, it's extremely sticky. So let me get this out. And if you wanted to, let's say you're making a big batch and you don't want to waste much, you can always pop this back into the microwave. It'll liquefy a little bit more, but then you run the risk of burning yourself. So if you end up with a little bit that's left over, that's fine. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use a spoon to start. I'm just going to dust the top, right? And make sure it's like this. And then I'm just going to fold right over a few times with a spoon. Make sure your spoon is coated in the powdered sugar so that you don't have a gum spoon from now until the end of time. And then once this gets going a little bit, I can get my hands in there. And while I'm doing this, we can probably talk about our giveaway this week.
Yeah, so our giveaway this week, if you're like, I am intrigued and I want to do this recipe and make some fun flavors, we are really excited because we actually just added gum base into our store. So the giveaway this week, it's going to be a 400-gram bag of the gum base, which I believe can make 4 of the 100-gram size recipes. as well as 3 flavor drops of your choice from our shop. So in order to enter to win, all you have to do is leave in the comments below the gum flavor that you are most excited to try. So whatever it is, I know someone's gonna come up with something crazy. It's gonna be like black garlic or something, but you know, whatever it is, we love hearing from you guys, and we love seeing how creative everyone's been. So yeah, definitely let us know what you would like to make. And I think while you're also kneading, one thing that you just mentioned that I know someone's going to have a question about, which is they're like, I want to make the sugar-free version. How exactly is the sugar-free version different from the version that we're making with powdered sugar?
The method is not different.
Okay.
So basically you would just add sorbitol where the powdered sugar is, and you just constantly knead it as I am.
Okay.
Sorbitol is not, it doesn't liquefy as quickly as powdered sugar, so if I keep kneading this outside of the powdered sugar, you'll see that it completely absorbs it almost like immediately.
Right.
Right, so sorbitol won't do that. It'll look a little grainy, but that won't really translate to the eating. Like, you won't notice that it's like grainy or anything.
Okay.
So you may have to add a little bit more. So if you're making a sugar-free gum batch, just start with a small amount of sorbitol, knead it, and then you can add more when you need to, so you're not wasting.
Okay. And what you're doing right now, it looks pretty much like a dough. So are you just doing this until all the powdered sugar is gone?
You don't have to do all the powdered sugar.
Okay.
I like to do a little bit more than I need, because then I'm not sticking it to the bottom of the bowl. But really, it's just kneading it until it becomes firm enough that I can roll it out.
Okay.
So when I do that, I can get to about this point. You can see it's shredding a little bit. I need to keep going. So
Okay.
continue kneading it. And if it becomes too firm to work with, pop it back in the microwave for about 15 seconds, and then you can put it back in your powdered sugar. Like, if it gets too cold, it might get too firm. So,
Okay.
so
Well,
yeah, almost there.
all right.
I can pull off a small piece. And what I'm going to do here, very sticky, is I'm going to just dust a little bit on the table, just as if you would
Pasta.
Yep. Pasta. Now you can roll this out into strips, or you can roll this out into like a tube, and you can slice it into little, like bubble gum pieces, similar to the bubble gum that we have here. I'm not gonna roll this out into strips. So remember, keep powder sugar handy.
Yeah.
Every time you flip it, roll it a little bit.
Okay.
Don't try to overdo it, trust me. It's very difficult to get off of any table as well, so
Right.
take your time. And in doing this, you are adding more of the powdered sugar to it, so that will make it better in the end.
Okay. And I know that some of these are pretty chunky. Is there like a recommended thickness if you want, like, oh, I want more of like this kind of chiclet texture, or I want more of a
Honestly,
strip texture?
it's about eating preference. So
Okay.
like, if you know that you generally take a half a strip of gum, then you should probably make them smaller to start, because when I first started making these, I made strips of gum that I thought were normal size, and then you realize that, oh no, I've taken way too much gum. And, you have to waste it or spit it out or something like that. So make sure that you start with a smaller size, and then you can move up to, where you really like it. But
Okay.
there we go. If Janie, if you want to try
Whoa.
that may be a giant. That's a Scott size piece.
Yeah.
So let me.
I'm about to say. But I remember
There.
like getting those like gum balls, and you just have this massive wad of gum in your mouth.
Yes.
All right.
I won't do it because I don't want to have gum in my mouth. But
Okay.
you can try it.
All right.
Tell me.
Freshly made gum. Is super good. It tastes like, I mean, the orange flavor, as expected, it's pretty
Yep.
bright because the flavor drops are actually, so they're like super concentrated,
Yes.
right? So it's not just like, oh, it's like orange juice. It's not.
No.
So it's sweet,
yeah.
but not too sweet.
Yeah, and you can.
This one's really soft.
Yeah, this is still a little warm, so it's going to be soft. But when you are making them, do know that the oils last a little bit longer than the alcohol-based flavors. So if you're using something like the apple oil, which we did for our green apple one, or
Okay.
this orange, it's going to last a little bit longer, the flavor. than it would in, like, say, the bubble gum.
Yeah, I mean, this is super tasty, but I'm also been eyeing these. So what samples do we have here?
Great. So I'm actually going to start here. This
We'll just
basic
start
bubble gum.
shoving.
So yeah, can't have too much bubble gum going on here.
Okay.
So that's just gum, basic bubble gum.
Okay.
Pink because we add a little bit of color to it. Bubble gum flavor. The next one down is a fruit flavor, so a sour apple.
Okay.
So it's our apple flavor, fructose, and citric acid, like you just had. You can also add malic acid, which is the acid that's found in apples, but it's up to you. Then the one in the end is a spearmint. I did a little bit of menthol in there too, so it's a really bright mint flavor. Add a little bit of blue to that, but that's a sugar-free. So you can see how the sugar-free looks just like a regular piece of gum. And then down here we did something kind of special is we took our root beer flavor, and in adding the root beer flavor, we wanted to add the effervescence of like a soda. So we folded in our Culinary Crystals, which are like a popping candy.
Yeah.
So we folded that in, and we let it kind of sit in powdered sugar just to kind of coat the outside. I knew that was going to happen.
No, I wanted to try this one, but I didn't want to just keep the other one in
Yeah,
too.
so that'll be, you know, when you bite down, you get a little bit of crunch to it, but then you'll get a little popping kind of sensation throughout. It's not overbearing because you are having chewing gum and you are chewing it up. But, right, you have all the flavor of like a root beer, then you get that kind of popping of the soda effect. So that's a really cool kind of fun thing you can do. And then I'm sure there's
really nice.
a lot of things that people are going to come up with that are cooler than even popping candy in the gum. So it'd be great to see what people come up with.
Yeah, I really like this one. This one's like a fun one.
Yeah.
So, all right. As Scott's already mentioned, now I have like a massive thing of gum in my mouth. I'm trying to talk. But anyway, so you can get all the links in the description below, which will contain all of these recipes and, of course, more. If you want to learn more about like different sweeteners, because I know we tossed around terms like fructose, D42, sorbitol, we're going to link to our episode all about sweeteners and D42, so you can kind of learn the difference between them. And hopefully you're going to give this a shot, and if you do want to win the gum base, remember, leave in the comments below a flavor that you would like to make. So until next week, from here in the Modernist Pantry Test Kitchen, I'm Janie Wang.
And I'm Scott Guerin.